Good evening. It's 9 and it's time for stories from NTA News Top Table. The next hour and a half will feature an eclectic lineup of views and reviews of the top events within and outside the country. We'll also keep you up to speed with developing stories that have significant bearing on Nigeria and Nigerians. The main actors in key sectors of the economy will also be on hand to enumerate interventions with direct impact on the people. Tonight, federal government to partner World Bank Group on fiber optic infrastructure.
We want people to be able to have fiber-based connectivity, whether it's at home or is that in the office, in schools, at hospitals. We can't do this without investing in that infrastructure.
Ministry of Works commences urgent repairs on Kaduna-Abuja Expressway.
On the direction of Mr. President, to look at this portion and do something immediately so that we will ease the sufferings of Nigerians.
On examination management, transition from paper to computer-based testing raises some concerns from stakeholders.
We need to prepare the ground first. We don't just hit a particular policy within the system without looking at the preparedness of that system.
In politics, some political parties recalibrate internal structures to guard against cross-carpeting, while the battle for control continues.
Illegality is decorated, illegality is redesigned, is renamed. It can never become legal.
You can't have two parties at a time. It's better you either stay or leave us in peace.
Also tonight, federal government to boost the local manufacturing in automotive industry. Benny Adams drives a business vehicle tonight, while Badia Delea, who is still basking in the euphoria of Super Falcons' victory over South Africa yesterday, is on sports. It's a loaded package, but don't take my word for it. After all, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Yan Ray John, and this is News Extra. Welcome. Let's set sail tonight as the World Bank Group is joining other top financial and development partners in collaborations with Nigeria for the actualizations of the 90,000-kilometer fiber optic cable project across the country. Group Managing Director and Chief Financial Officer of the World Bank Group, Anshula Kant, and her team met with President Bola Tinubu to discuss this new area of partnership. The World Bank delegation also discussed how to strengthen the existing areas of collaboration with Nigeria, particularly in agriculture, energy and social protection programs such as education and health. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, says this partnership is crucial, just as the digital infrastructure is equally central to the development of other critical sectors.
Nigerians always talk about the quality of the connectivity they get, but unfortunately, quality is tied to availability of the right infrastructure. So for us as a government, we would like to fix this once and for all. We want people to be able to have fiber-based connectivity, whether it's at home or is that in the office, in schools, at hospitals. We can't do this without investing in that infrastructure. That's what that 90,000 kilometers is about. We've designed it in such a way that we have rings across all the geopolitical zones and each state as well. Looking at what's been already built, and we're completing the ring, ensuring that every state is properly covered. And once we do that, it means fiber-based connectivity can now get to the homes. And we enjoy the support of the World Bank. The World Bank is helping us to structure the round where government is putting money into this special purpose vehicle that is going to build and operate the fiber network, but we are also then getting 51% of the total funding from the private sector as well. And the entity is then going to be managed as an independent entity, not a government-led entity. The private sector will help us ensure that it is managed in a sustainable manner and that we can recoup our money back, because people will pay for these services. So it's not one of those things where we take loans and we throw it into things that will not bring back the money.
Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, who described the World Bank as a viable partner, believes there are other prospects to come from the partnership which would enhance social and economic development.
Affordable access to finance across particularly the small and medium-scale enterprises, as well as, of course, the larger ones. That is the trajectory. That is the path now to growth for Nigeria. And we are all focused with our development partners. The World Bank is a trusted development partner of Nigeria, and we are all focused on achieving, in the very near future, the growth that will lift Nigerians out of poverty.
If the economy has to develop and grow, you need physical infrastructure, but also you need human capital. So we are focusing on both sides so that the country can progress toward accelerated growth and better jobs. But I must say that I shared with the President that congratulated the country and the President for embarking on such ambitious reforms, macroeconomic reforms, and staying the course. They are not easy to do, but already you can see the big improvements and, forward growth and momentum that is taking place.
We have more reports from the State House, but that will come in the course of this bulletin. In the meantime, the federal government has elevated flood prevention to a national security priority with the unveiling of a new anticipatory action framework on floods to move disaster response from reactive to early coordinated response. Vice President Kashim Shettima, during the official submission of the draft framework and consolidated budget by the Anticipatory Action Task Force at the presidential villa, said Nigeria must now believe in science and pursue a roadmap for disaster prevention. The new framework, which includes scientific and traditional data gathering methods, triggers early action and a consolidated budget for flood response, aims to build resilience in states and communities prone to seasonal floods. The Vice President applauded President Bola Tinubu for his leadership on disaster preparedness, even as he also praised the Office of the National Security Advisor for coordinating the process. The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, stressed the need to act proactively, noting that natural disasters are outside of control. But timely reaction is the solution. Providing details of the work done by the task force, Special Assistant to the President on Humanitarian Affairs and Development Partners, Mrs. Ina Audu, said the group had followed a defined timeline since March 2025 with the inauguration of the AATF, conducting a validation workshop and completing data collection through scientific and traditional methods.
It is where we are anticipating that there will be flooding, and we want to create an early warning and early response system in the framework that can help us to predict, do an early warning, create safe zones, also ensure that people who are within these zones move in safety.
State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that a strategic communication working group had been created at the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Office of the National Security Advisor. Now, as governors, APC governors to be specific, have met with President Tinubu at the presidential villa Abuja in continuation of consultations ahead of Thursday's National Executive Committee meeting. Our State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab is standing by for an update. Hello, Musbao. Good to see you. Tell us more about the just concluded APC governors meeting at the State House.
All right, just this evening, the chairman of the All Progressives Governors Forum, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State led his members, colleagues who are on the platform of the All Progressives Congress into the State House to meet with Mr. President. Actually, the agenda of the meeting was not put out, but it will certainly not be unconnected to the National Executive Council meeting of the All Progressives Congress coming up tomorrow. Ordinarily, before a NEC meeting, there is supposed to be a caucus meeting. That did not take place. So that means this replaced what we were expecting, that is the caucus meeting. So these governors met with Mr. President behind closed doors, and they discussed at length. And again, they have an issue at hand, that is the chairmanship position of the All Progressives Congress. Remember, the chairman of the party, former chairman, former governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, resigned as the chairman of the party, and the leader of the party now is an interim position. That is, the chairman is an interim position, and we are expecting that by tomorrow, the meeting, a new chairman will emerge. But the chairman of the Governors Forum, Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, spoke to us after their meeting behind closed doors, and he said that they came to condole with President Bola Tinubu over the death of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. They've not done that officially, so they used that opportunity again to condole with Mr. President. Let's take a listen to what he said to us earlier.
Condole him on the passing of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, and also to discuss on the upcoming National Executive Committee meeting of our party tomorrow, and to get also share some ideas with Mr. President on how best to strengthen our party at the grassroots, at the local government, at the state level, up to the national level. So it's just a convivial discussion with Mr. President towards strengthening our party and to be able to help serve Nigerians better.
All right. Would there be any contest tomorrow, or there be consensus as regards selection of a new party chairman?
It is National Executive Committee meeting. We cannot say what the outcome will be. When you come there tomorrow, you will see.
Many thanks, Musbao, for that update. Of course, we'll get a clearer picture tomorrow when the meeting holds. Many thanks for joining us on News Extra.
Sure.
All right. Earlier on, the governors on the platform of the Governing All Progressives Congress, APC, was in a closed-door session which held for several hours at Imo Lodge. The forum is putting finishing touches ahead of tomorrow's National Executive Committee meeting at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, speaking immediately after the notes, said that the governors will continue to consult.
The leader of the party, the president, and by tomorrow 2 p.m., the National Executive Committee of our great party will be meeting to also discuss issues of importance to our great party and primarily how best to serve Nigeria better. And we are happy and excited with the results we are getting so far from the reforms. We are still thinking also on how best to ensure the dividends of these reforms penetrate to the grassroots so that Nigeria will, at the end of the day, receive the prosperity they've been yearning for all these years.
The forum commends massive transformation under the renewed hope agenda of the federal government. And still talking politics, some members of the PDP in the coalition outside the party are engaging in anti-party activity and will be treated as such. This was the consensus of leaders of the party at a consultative meeting with founding fathers and stakeholders of the party. Timothy Yusuf will tell us more about this.
We want to really appeal to all of you.
Most of the founding fathers of the PDP may have departed this world, yet some of them are still alive. They include Senator Jim Nwobodo, Chief Olamide George, and the convener of the conference and voice of the PDP founding fathers, Professor Jerry Ghana.
I know how PDP was formed. I know when, in fact, they had the idea of forming a party that is Nigerian political party. Hope is not lost. A new PDP is emerging. A new PDP is being reformed. It's going to be responsive. It's going to give excellent leadership.
With the theme, Reclaiming Our Legacy, Renewing Our Collective Vision, leaders gathered here agreed that the issues confronting the PDP over the years were that of self-inflicted injury, condemning those leaving the party to either shape in or shape out completely.
PDP is one. If you belong to PDP, you belong to PDP. If you can't have two parties at a time.
I stand here as somebody who left this party with anger. Anger does not provide purpose to leadership. A lot of people are leaving the party now and living with anger. We must live, if you have to live, based on ideology.
And every section, every zone will be free to actualize its ambition or aspiration to govern Nigeria, to contribute positively to the growth and development of the country.
The party's founding fathers stood for democracy, choosing inconvenience over comfort. Therefore, the focus of the consultative session centering on generating consensus on core issues, strategies and proposals.
I beg you, when you hear people deciding I am moving, which political party has been able to design what they did?
The gathering, no doubt, a symbolic moment and reaffirmation that PDP is still alive. The underlined message here is the need for members to draw renewed strength and reclaim the party's national mandate. Participants re-emphasized. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
We're not done with politics yet, as the National Executive Committee of Labour Party, led by Julius Abure, has passed a 9-point resolution with a declaration that the NEC meeting convened by the Nigerian Usman-led interim committee is null and void. The NEC meeting, which was attended by the vice presidential candidate of the party in 2023, Senator Dati Baba Ahmed, passed a vote of confidence on the Julius Abure-led National Working Committee. David Ire has this.
The Julius Abure-led Labour Party NEC is meeting few days after the Nigerian Usman-led faction formally inaugurated an interim National Working Committee to run the affairs of the party, an action that has now been invalidated by this NEC meeting. Other resolutions passed by the NEC is an approval for the National Working Committee to commence the conduct of congresses from the ward to state level, a formal declaration not to participate in any form of merger, and a reconfirmation of the Nnewi Convention of the party, where the current NWC officials were elected.
NEC notes that no matter how illegality is decorated, illegality is redesigned, is renamed, it can never become legal. Renaming the caretaker committee as interim National Working Committee of Labour Party does not remove its illegality. This sitting contravenes the provisions of our constitution.
I'm here as a loyal party member. I am here as a peacemaker, and I'm also here to reconcile divergent opinions.
Initiating the 2023 vice presidential candidate of the party, Dati Baba Ahmed, for his steadfastness with the party, urged members to remain united, expressing confidence that the current crisis will be over soon. In Abuja, David Ire, NTA News.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, more news. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now we move to the National Assembly as senators in the Red Chamber paid heartfelt tributes to the late former President Muhammadu Buhari as they record unforgettable moments that shaped their political and personal relationships with the deceased. This was during the special session held to honor the former president, sequel to a motion from the Senate leader, Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele. National Assembly correspondent Lamiale reports on this and other activities at Wednesday's plenary.
In the course of his administration, he adopted a very strict approach to governance, with a strong emphasis on discipline, anti-corruption, and economic recovery through what became known as the war against indiscipline.
President Buhari was a man of integrity, a highly principled person.
I headed up as chairman of the All Progressive Congress with President Buhari as the overall leader. I have very fond memories of his unyielding commitment and his belief that Nigeria must remain one.
The late former president was not corrupt and remained incorruptible.
His dedication to the rule of law and democratic principle is a testament to his character.
The eulogy was laced with anecdotes highlighting the legacies and impacts of the late leader who ruled as both military head of state and a two-term democratically elected president.
We achieved a stability in the relationship between the legislature here in that period and the executive arm of government that enabled us to pass many critical and crucial legislations, and for the president to assent to many bills than any previous president from 1999 in the last 4 years that we had with him.
I also disagreed on his failure to restructure the country. But Buhari, at all of our meetings, showed innate decency and discipline. He fought a lot of battles, particularly the bourgeois, for the masses.
The nation will continue to miss the best president for years to come and for generations to come. And I hope we have done enough, but I don't think we will stop honoring him so long as Nigeria exists. His name will continue to reverberate through the nooks and crannies of this nation.
Senate commended President Bola Tinubu for the state funeral accorded late Buhari. As the commencement of plenary, 4 senators from Akwa Ibom and Osun states, Anie Kenbasi, Ekong Samson, Francis Fadaunsi, and Olubiyi Oluwole Fadeyi defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC, bringing the number of APC senators in the Red Chamber to more than 70 out of the 109. Senate also congratulates the national female team, the Super Falcons, for moving to the finals of WAFCON after defeating South Africa in the semi-finals.
It is important that at this juncture to ask for the prayers of Nigeria, as these girls are gunning for the 10th title in Africa.
Very scintillating performance that led to their qualifying for the finals of the African Women's Championship.
Meanwhile, Senate Committee on Local Contents has warned both oil and gas and other companies operating in Nigeria that government will no longer fold its arms and allow entities shortchange the system by non-compliance with extant laws at the detriment of citizens.
We are starting with investigating abuse of expatriate quotas. We will make significant milestones to at least rescue sufficient amount of jobs for our people.
It warns that infractions will henceforth be sanctioned. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has approved President Bola Tinubu's request for an amendment of the 2025 to 2026 federal government external borrowing plan to provide for additional $347 million for critical infrastructure projects. The approved loan request, conveyed through the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, is to address financial shortfalls in the federal government's external borrowing plan. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikwe has details.
The amendment of the 2025 to 2026 federal government external borrowing plan guarantees additional financing to cater for the first phase of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project and the Nigerian Universal Communication Access project, expected to deploy 7,000 telecommunications towers across remote communities in Nigeria.
Nigeria Universal Communication Access project, the financing institution will be China Exim Bank, and the amount will be $300 million. Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project, additional financing. The financing institution will be export credit agencies, and the amount is $47 million.
Also approved at the Committee on Supply is the 105 billion naira 2025 budget of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
75 billion 554,656,281 naira 80 kobo is for capital cost.
A special valedictory session in honor of late former President Muhammadu Buhari elicited tributes of his life and times.
These reforms, debated extensively in this chamber, have enhanced the transparency and credibility of our elections.
His social investment and welfare program, the NSIP, consisting of the Empower, Trader Money, and a whole lot of other social welfare packages, benefited millions of Nigerians.
When it comes to health sector, I remember before his coming, we just had 3 tertiary institutions in the orthopedic section. He introduced Benin, Plateau, Jos, and Taraba, Jalingo.
I must commend our former leader, the late President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, for signing the not too young to run bill into law.
His death has therefore left a vacuum that would not be easily be filled.
During plenary, 56 bills were introduced at first reading as the House proceeds on its annual recess, with plenary adjourned to the 23rd of September 2025. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikwen, NTA News.
Ahead of the 2027 general elections, stakeholders are advocating the integrity of electoral process for the election to be fair, credible, and acceptable to all. This resonated at a policy dialogue on election, security, and reforms in Nigeria, organized by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
It is an established fact that election is a bedrock of democracy. Experts express worry about how election in Nigeria is often marred by violence, logistic failures, systematic manipulation, and institutional distrust. This disturbing trend brought together key players and experts in election administration to discuss the 2027 general election.
Let's look for patriotic people who will be on duty and reject bribery, reject any attempt to compromise it. That is the security of the election itself.
We must legislate with foresight, with the primary goal of ensuring that every Nigerian can vote safely, freely, and without fear.
What's the prospects of that security in the next few months to come? I think it's a fundamental issue. If 40% of Nigerians' environment is not secured, then we should not expect any election, credible election.
Other participants lend their voice for the establishment of the Electoral Offences Commission, moving from reactive rhetoric to proactive institutional reforms that will position the electoral umpire for the better. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA.
And joining us in the studio for more insight on some of the issues raised in the Just Watched report is a human rights and constitutional lawyer, Professor Anthony Agbazwere. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Nigerians.
All right, Prof. Now, some politicians and their political parties have been aligning and realigning ahead of the 2027 general election. Meanwhile, stakeholders are calling attention of relevant institutions to critical component of the process, which, of course, is the credibility of election outcomes. What is your take in all of this?
Thank you very much. Well, I do not disagree with those politicians that are talking about credibility of elections, because if the elections are not credible, I mean, it would have really come to naught. And I think the basic issue now should be, what should we do in this country to make sure that our elections are credible and acceptable by majority of Nigerians? In the first place, we have to up our game in voter education. A lot of people do not really understand certain things and even how to vote. The need not to collect bribe, allow themselves, to be overwhelmed by these people who engage in vote buying and all of that. We need to do more in voter education. And that is one. Number two, we actually need to work hard to ensure that there is transparency, in the electoral process. That will also give people, some level of confidence. You see, INEC almost got it right in 2023 through the BVAS and the IRF. But along the line, they faltered. If they could now take it serious and make sure that BVAS works, if the BVAS works, the bimodal voter accreditation system, that word bimodal is two-pronged, So if they get it to work, rigging will no longer be possible.
Fantastic, Prof.
Yes.
Away from INEC, security challenges are usually encountered before, during, and after elections in Nigeria. Vote buying and voter apathy are also some of the issues that mar the credibility of election results. And what solution would you actually prefer ahead of the 2027 election to these issues?
Yes, in the first place, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago that the Chief of Defense Staff, in a program, he said that fighting security, that we have to bring in both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches. If we will listen to President Tinubu's, message of everybody going to farm, he's already supporting this issue. Look at even, he also has now divided Ministry of Agriculture. The other one is livestock and so on. If we can feed ourselves, if people will have food on their table, it will reduce the possibility of somebody going to do something because he's hungry, collecting money from you, vote buying and all of that. So that is also very necessary. So apart from that, I also think that to reduce tension, there's also something we should do, which is happening in Rwanda. Let us create some seats in the National Assembly for women. Out of 80 in Rwanda, they have 24 for women. They have 2 for youths. And these 2 for youths, you get it through the National Youth Council.
I'm very glad.
Then they have one again for the disabled. And even education, this thing we are talking about, voter education, all of that. Education is in section 40 of the article of the Rwandan Constitution, where it is under the fundamental right of every Rwandan. So, you see, when you do some of these things, women have their seats, the youth have their seats, the disabled have some seats, the tension will reduce, and then the pressure will no longer be so much on government. And like I said earlier, you also provide, apart from the non-kinetic, you also go kinetic. Provide
Fantastic.
for the security people too.
Many thanks, Prof. I'm glad you're supporting the call for special seats for women, and of course, other vulnerable groups. Many thanks for your time, and thank you for being on News Extra tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's Professor Anthony Agbazwere, a constitutional lawyer, speaking with us. Now we'll move on to other issues as the federal government says it's turning to local government councils in its push to lift millions out of poverty. At the Agora Policy Dialogue on Local Government Reforms, a year after Supreme Court ruling, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, acknowledged that the implementation of the Supreme Court ruling remains a work in progress. Musa Abubakar reports.
Exactly 1 year after the Supreme Court delivered a landmark judgment affirming the financial and administrative autonomy of Nigeria's local governments, stakeholders have gathered again, this time for a critical review. Organized by policy think tank Agora Policy, the dialogue, now in its second edition, brought together state actors, local government officials and development partners to reflect on progress made since the ruling.
In terms of implementing the payments, and what we have to remember is that it is a work in progress. It is not, sometimes it's not as simple as flicking a switch.
Federal policy has convened representatives, frontline stakeholders for an interrogative dialogue to determine where we are since the Supreme Court was bold enough to deliver that landmark judgment.
Yet the question remains, has there been real change? Have local government become more participatory and effective?
We should focus on what it will take to make a major step change in the way government provides services for the population.
Because of the complete abandonment of the local government system, there is also lack of human capacity.
The policy center has certainly created a niche for itself, for the country.
As the journey towards meaningful decentralization continues, the call is clear. Local governance must work for the people, and that journey, stakeholders say, has only just begun. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Soybean has emerged as a highly sought-after crop in both rural and urban areas of Nigeria, with international demand rising daily. Nigeria is the largest producer of soybeans in Africa. However, it's struggling to meet local demand. In response, the federal government has formulated a strategy aimed at increasing the area under cultivation by an additional 1 million hectares. Musa Babaliyu has all the details.
Nigeria ranks among the world's top producers and leads Africa in soybean production. In 2023, Nigeria produced an estimated 1.15 million metric tons of soybeans. Experts believe that the country could produce more than double that, potentially exceeding 2 million tons, boosting both the economy and livelihood of farmers. To achieve this, the federal government has launched a national soybean production policy and strategy. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kyari said the initiative aims to expand cultivation by 1 million hectares, adding 460,000 tons to annual production.
The National Soybean Production Policy and Strategy provides a clear blueprint to scale production, drive value addition, and expand domestic and international markets.
Benue State Governor is spearheading this effort with plans to position Nigeria as a global leader in soybean production within the next 2 years.
Seed and soil innovation, by partnering with local and international research institutions, we're accelerating the distribution of high-yielding, disease-resistant seeds. A soybean seed multiplication and distribution program will reach over 200,000 farmers in the next 3 years.
With these bold steps, Nigeria's soybean industry is poised for a major leap forward, promising economic growth and improved food security. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Many thanks, Musa. Let's join Benny now for more business update. Benny.
Thank you, Henry. And talking business, with Nigeria struggling to curb vehicle import dependence and boost industrial job creation, the federal government is turning to the automotive sector as a critical driver of economic growth. Comfort Amodu reports that this explains the inauguration of a new governing board for the National Automotive Design and Development Council as part of efforts to deepen local production, enhance value chains, and position Nigeria for competitiveness under the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AfCFTA.
What we find out in terms of players in the sector is that they want some comfort that is beyond a plan, that is beyond a policy. They want a law, because investments in this sector are heavy, they are huge. So one of the assignments that we have together with the management of NEDDC, with the board and the ministry, is to make sure that we are able to deliver in terms of that law.
Our target is simple: to flood the country with locally made vehicles. Is it not in line with the renewed hope agenda of making Nigeria first? So we're going to work to make sure that made in Nigerian vehicles. I am highly encouraged, and people have confidence in them so that they can patronize them.
If you are going to produce only one or two, focus on those ones and have that volume, because it is then you'll be able to support that one with after sales. We want to boost the volume of production, not actually the number of people manufacturing.
Now talking energy, oil prices fell for the fourth consecutive session on Wednesday as investors assess trade developments, including a U.S. tariff deal with Japan ahead of a U.S. stocks data announcement. Brent crude futures were down 38 cents at $68.21. Let's take a look at the numbers at this time. Now looking at where your money should be, the Nigerian equities market sustained its bullish trend on Wednesday, building on the positive trend of the market since the start of July. This is as the all-share index gained 0.08% for the day to close at 132,055.43 basis points on buying interest in key stocks, as such investors gained 66.87 billion naira as market capitalization also rose to 83.86 trillion naira. Today's data shows 12% decline in volume, 36% decline in turnover, and 18% decline in deals. On the aggregate, 128 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 29 gainers and 37 losers. Looking at the numbers, the top losers are Austin Lars, lost 2 naira 34 kobo, Triple G lost just 3 naira 86 kobo, as well as Omatech 1 naira 30 kobo. And on the top trades at this time, we see Access Core is coming tops, having traded 98.6 million, valued at 2.7 billion naira. And LLX is 61.1 million, valued at 581 million, while Jopo Gold on the third spot is 49.1 million, valued at 136.7 million naira. This is it on business at this time.
Well, thanks, Benny, for those numbers. Let's take a look at other issues now, as the federal government has pledged to commence immediate rehabilitation of the affected portion of the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway, which is causing havoc to motorists. Minister of State for Works, who visited the area on presidential directive, reassured commuters of government's broader agenda to strengthen road infrastructure to promote an efficient transportation network across the country.
The Kaduna-Abuja Expressway is a vital transportation artery that connects the Federal Capital Territory to over 12 states. This vital corridor is a major link within the nation's socio-economic zones, and its failed condition has heightened the hardship of motorists and impacted economic activities greatly. The affected portion of the expressway, stretched approximately 500 meters by the Federal Cooperative College at Abuja Junction in Kaduna State, has been causing significant delays to motorists and movement of goods and services. Speaking during an inspection, the Minister of State for Works, Bello Guranyu, said the ministry has assessed the identified portion of the roads and will commence immediate emergency repairs.
Here on behalf of the Minister of Works, Engineer David Mark, on the direction of Mr. President, to look at this portion and do something immediately so that we will ease the sufferings of Nigerians.
The minister, while appreciating the patience and understanding of road users assured the public of concerted effort to deliver quality roads and bridges for accelerated national development. Usman Zubair, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Governor Abu Kefas of Taraba State has undertaken an on-the-spot assessment of the Gembu Lip Road project, which connects Nigeria and the Republic of Cameroon. He expressed gratitude to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for approving the project. Godwin Inalego completes the report.
The Gembu Lip Road project, a 35-kilometer road linking Nigeria and the Republic of Cameroon, is expected to be completed within 30 months. The road, when completed, will enhance socio-economic condition of the people as well as promote trade between the two nations. Governor Abu Kefas, who led a high-powered delegation to the site, commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for approving the project, saying it will go a long way in transforming people's livelihoods.
The reason why I align with Mr. President is because of the positive impact of some of the policies that we might not see the result now, but in the near future, we're able to see it. And this is our generation. We need to work with leadership so that we can achieve something for our people.
An engineer from the Federal Ministry of Works, Otis Danjuma, and resident engineer, Federal Ministry of Works, Taraba State, Legacy Matthew, assured that the project will be carried out according to standard specification. The Gembu Lip Road project is one of the series of road infrastructure being executed across the nation by President Bola Tinubu's administration. In Jalingo, Godwin Inalegu, NTA News.
Let's pause again. There's more news in a bit. Please remain tuned. Glad to have you back. Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency alerts the public of impending floods in some states of the Federation. The states are Rivers, Bayelsa, Edo, Borno, Kwara, Ondo, Adamawa, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, FCT, Imo, Jigawa, and Ogun states. Others are Sokoto, Nasarawa, Niger, Plateau, Taraba, Delta, Kebbi, Anambra, Bauchi, Benue, Kogi, Niger, Delta, Gombe, Taraba, Yobe, and Ebonyi states. 162 local government areas and 739 communities should also be at alert. Meanwhile, over 100 possible disruptions of major transportation routes may also be affected. The agency therefore advises that all emergency management stakeholders should be prepared for response protocols. Communities at risk should put evacuation plans in place and monitor update on weekly flood notifications from NISA Flood Dashboard, website, and social media handles. And still on flood, since the commencement of the rainy season, meteorologists have warned that states in Nigeria, including Lagos, will continue to experience flash floods. This requires management strategies being put in place. Let's find out details from Larry Billet.
Whenever the clouds gather to produce a downpour, some Lagos residents are downcast and worried, with many praying for their homes not to be flooded. It is worse for those living in areas with poor drainage and waste management systems. Aggravated by the low-lying topography of the state, managing floods in Lagos requires a multifaceted approach that combines infrastructural development and maintenance, better urban planning, public awareness, effective waste management, technology, and innovation.
The truth is, there's so much you can do in some areas. You will experience flash flooding, especially those island areas of Lagos, because they are by the coast of the state. To the south of them is the Atlantic. And in the middle, you have the lagoons and you have your creeks.
Other ways environmentalists say that can help mitigate flooding include shoreline protection, channelization, better urban planning and development, flood control structures, effective land use, strict building regulations, catchment flood modeling, climate change adaptation measures, and flood forecasting.
In Lagos, it rained for more than 48 hours, and this water receded after
And this is a success story of Lagos State flood management system. But with the recent announcement by the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency that 27 states of the Federation will be affected by flood this month, including Lagos, the need for intensified flood management system becomes imperative.
There are certain places that should not be built on the wetlands. These are places that are prone to perennial flooding. So why build there?
Lagos, as we are aware, is lowland area. And some of this waste, they accumulate and cause blockage along our drainages. They cause flooding. And therefore, some people are rendered homeless in the process. It is we that we need to do the right thing. You don't need to put your waste on the canal.
Inter-agency collaborations and adaptive policy that captures the growing population of Lagos will help in checking the expansion of informal settlements in places susceptible to flooding. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
And away from the environment, let's now talk education, as computer-based testing, or CBT, has seen a global surge in recent years, emerging as the dominant mode for delivering assessments across all levels of education, from elementary to secondary, and in core subjects like reading, mathematics, science, and social studies. Now, Nigeria is joining this wave of educational transformation as secondary school examinations migrate from traditional paper and pencil formats to digital platforms. Advocates of CBT say the shift offers tremendous potential for improving the integrity, speed, and accessibility of state assessments. Olayinka Ojo will tell us more about this.
When the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB transitioned from paper and pencil to computer-based testing a decade ago, it sparked widespread conversations about its implication on student learning and academic performance.
How can they come and introduce this kind of computer-based into WAEC and NECO? It can't be possible.
Go to most of our villages today, they are not computer literate. Some of them don't even know what is computer.
To address these concerns, government, through the two major examination bodies responsible for senior secondary school assessments, began a pilot phase of computer-based testing this year. Though still in its formative stage, the initiative is already contributing to a gradual reduction in examination malpractice.
We are proud of what they are doing because we are yet to hear those serious issues of examination malpractice. We pray that they sustain the tempo.
For many stakeholders in the education sector, this innovation promises several benefits. However, these advantages come with some challenges.
If the government provides laptops for schools now, can government provide light for the schools?
The main essence is to look at all these challenges within the rural locations, urban locations, and also prepare before next year.
To develop a new value chain in our economy, they will employ jobs. We're going to you see a lot of computer hardware and software, and more importantly, we have entrepreneurial Nigerians.
The good news is, all of that is beginning to change. Today, students like Rosemary and Esther Chukwudi are becoming strong advocates for computer-based examinations.
There will be no exam and practice. You just go straight and write your exam on time.
The timing and the cooperation, and it's better because writing with paper, I think it brings noise.
According to experts, the computer-based testing system will not only boost students' computer literacy, but also evaluate both their academic and technological competences, aligning Nigeria's education system with global standards and best practices.
But the question is, how prepared will the candidates and schools be by the year 2026? This is a story for another day. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
Many thanks, Olayinka. Indeed, time would give the response to that question. Now, the federal government has released results of the 2025 National Common Entrance Examination into the 80 Unity colleges across Nigeria. Presenting the results in Abuja, the Minister of State for Education, Professor Soybean, discloses that a total of 64,578 candidates registered for the examination. Of this number, 61,290 sat for the exam, while 3,200 288 were absent.
Maximum obtainable score of 210. 13 candidates obtained the highest score of 202, while 27 candidates obtained the lowest score of 1. This year, an unprecedented number of 52 candidates, 2 candidates from Lagos State and 50 candidates from Rivers State were involved in examination malpractice.
For admission into the Federal Government Academy, Suleja, 3,421 candidates registered. Of this number, 3,141 candidates sat for the exam, while 280 were absent. The highest score recorded was 194, and the lowest was 1.
% merit, 30% equality of state. The Senior Secondary Education Department should ensure that all admission processes are concluded timely and in line with the above criteria.
Was that the federal government remains committed to improving infrastructure, feeding and teacher quality across unity colleges to ensure conducive environment for effective teaching and learning. Let's move from education to health. The Presidential Initiative on Unlocking the Healthcare Value Chain, PVAC, and states under the Lafayette Partnership, a UK-Nigeria program, have developed a roadmap to accelerate healthcare industry development at a sub-national level. The roadmap was jointly created by stakeholders from the 6 states under the program, including the Federal Capital Territory, during a 2-day workshop in Abuja. PVAC National Coordinator Dr. Abdul Mokhtar emphasized the importance of collaboration with states across the country to achieve the mandate set by President Bola Tinubu's administration. He noted that having every state on board will not only ensure Nigeria's self-sufficiency in healthcare, but also enable the country to export, as well as other services to neighboring countries.
So we are looking at all the programs that we are doing in PVAC to see how we can support the states in achieving their objectives, to localize production, to build quality infrastructure for hospitals.
NTA as a program is trying to strengthen system and ensuring that we have institutions and structures that will improve on the health system of Nigerians.
We're really glad that PVAC is really thinking about, how some of these ideas really begin to play at state level.
The expectation is that with PVAC and Lafayette supports, states will be able to establish necessary healthcare infrastructure. Now, the Sultan of Sokoto and President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Muhammad Saad Abubakar, has called on Muslims across the country to look out for the new moon of Safar 1447 on Thursday, July 24, 2025, which corresponds to the 29th day of Muharram 1447 after Hijrah. This is contained in a statement issued by Wazirin Sokoto and Chairman, Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs of the Sultanate Council, Sokoto, Professor Sambo Wali Junaidu. It urges Muslims to report any sighting of the crescent to the nearest district or village head for onward communication to the Sultan for official announcement. Now time for another break. Please remain tuned. Thank you for remaining tuned. Let's talk security. In a major breakthrough in the ongoing investigation into the deadly attacks in communities in Benue State, police operatives have intercepted and dismantled a notorious arms supply syndicates arming bandits across the north-central region. Acting on credible intelligence, operatives of the Intelligence Response Team raided a forest hideout at the boundary of Kadako, Nasarawa State, and Yawata, Benue State, engaging the bandits in a gun battle. The suspects fled with gunshot wounds while operatives recovered 2 GPMGs from the scene. Further operations along the Lafayette-Makurdi Expressway led to the arrest of 25-year-old Abubakar Isa, found with 3 AK-47 rifles and 1,002 rounds of live ammunition. Investigations reveal the arms were supplied by notorious dealer Jacob Adiku from Abinse, Goma local government area, and destined for Dan Hassan, a wanted bandit leader behind attacks across Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Niger, and Kwara states. Another suspect, Ibrahim, also known as Chelsea, confessed to transferring 6.5 million naira to Adiku for the weapons and a modified vehicle to conceal them during transport. In a follow-up operation, the operatives stormed Abinsi and arrested Adiku, recovering additional arms, including 3 AK-47 rifles, a rocket launcher, and 1,220 rounds of live ammunition. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetukun, commended the operatives for their resilience, reiterating that those fueling violence will find no safe haven. He assured the public of efforts to apprehend remaining suspects and restoration of peace in Benue and beyond are ongoing, in line with President Tinubu's directive. Meanwhile, in a determined push to reclaim degraded lands and address worsening environmental challenges, Jigawa State is stepping up its strategies in tackling erosion, desertification, and destructive windstorms. Government agencies, environmental groups, and traditional leaders are leading tree planting campaign and restoration projects across vulnerable communities. They're also raising public awareness about the dangers of deforestation and the need for collective environmental responsibility. Ibrahim Sani completes this report.
Jigawa State, a land famed for its agricultural vitality and serene landscapes, is now grappling with some of the harshest environmental challenges in its history. From the creeping threat of desertification to the destructive impact of gully erosion, the toll on the land and its people has become impossible to ignore. Added to this long-standing challenge, a recent windstorm induced in the capital of Jigawa State has left a trail of destruction ripping through neighborhoods, destroying homes, toppling trees, and displacing hundreds of residents. In response, the Jigawa State government has ramped up a land restoration efforts. New erosion control projects, including drainage systems and embankments, are underway to protect farmlands and communities across the local government areas of the state.
This administration will focus and also support the use of alternative sources of energy, e.g. solar, wind, and biomass, as well as improve clean cooking stove to reduce the use of firewood by our rural communities.
We've done a lot, and the essence is to restore the land, make sure everywhere is green.
The real challenge, they say, is nurturing the trees to maturity. Residents are urged to protect the seedlings, water them, and safeguard them from harm. The government is also drafting new laws to tackle indiscriminate tree cutting, a major driver of desertification.
We have laws that will protect this issue of cutting trees, bush burning, deforestation.
We produce at least 4 million assorted tree seedlings in 27 number nurseries in collaboration with the State Ministry of Environment, and these seedlings will be distributed to public and government agencies free of charge.
Officials stress that legal enforcement will go hand in hand with community education, promoting sustainable practices and environmental stewardship.
It is expected that efforts like this will continue understanding the problem of environmental challenge affecting various parts of the state. In Duse, Ibrahim Sani, NTA News.
Now, President Bola Tinubu congratulates the Oniru of Iro Kingdom, His Royal Majesty Oba Abdulwasiu Omogbolahon Lawal Abisogun II, on his 55th birthday. President Tinubu commends the royal father for leveraging his vast experience in public service to develop his community, particularly through initiatives focused on education, healthcare, and economic empowerment for the less privileged. President Tinubu applauds Oba Lawal's advocacy for sustainable urban development and his recent contribution to urban studies through his book, From City to Mega City, a memoir of Lagos urbanization 1999 to 2023, praying for his long reign and continued peace and progress in his kingdom and Lagos State. Similarly, the wife of the Vice President, Nana Shatima, has expressed gratitude to the President, First Lady, and other well-wishers for celebrating her on her 50th birthday. In a personally signed letter opening with gratitude and praise to Almighty Allah, Nana Shatima expresses joy and delight at the heartfelt messages sent by President Bola Tinubu as well as First Lady Oluremi Tinubu's leadership and team spirit, along with the Nigeria Governor's Spouses Forum. Nana Shettima also acknowledges the immense support of her husband, Vice President Kashim Shettima, who she says is her unwavering rock, trusted partner, and dearest friend. The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, has commenced the 2025 bid opening in line with the Procurement Act of 2007. And a message delivered by the Executive Director, Engineering, Director General of the NTA, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, assures the contractors of a transparent process that reflects the public trust reposed in the organization. Kenneth Nanim has this.
Interested contractors who responded to the procurement advertorials of the NTA are here for the bidding process, and the nation's leading broadcaster is assuring a level playing ground for all bidders.
Our procurement activities are open, competitive, and fair to all. This bid opening is a clear demonstration of that commitment. As Africa's largest network, NTA is constantly evolving, investing in technology, infrastructure, and content delivery.
It has commenced with the opening of the financial and technical reports in full glare of delegates from the Bureau of Public Procurement, observers from the civil society organizations, as well as the bidding firms.
NTA management have done a very good job. I want to give kudos to their Director General. The whole process is free, is fair, is in line with the Procurement Act of 2007.
The meeting started as per scheduled, and everything were well conducted excellently by the staff. Every procedures were fully and strictly adhered to.
I don't think we have any issues on the process. It was a transparent one.
Head of Procurement, NTA, Alabi Olatunde, outlines the media giant's expectations in its efforts at ensuring service upgrade.
The evaluation committee will look into all the bids and to see those who are technically fit. So after that, then we now call them, those people that they pass technically.
The 22 lots advertised in the 2025 procurement of the NTA are basically capital projects. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
All right, the Court-Martial Federal Road Safety Corps, Sheikhu Mohammed, has vowed to deal ruthlessly with officers engaged in bribery, corruption, drugs, and incivility. He dropped this hint at the strategic session with senior officers of the Corps in Abuja. Oyeyemi Ajayi has the details.
This is the first strategic session of the Federal Safety Corps in the second half of the year. And one major target is to review the first half and prepare for the second. Just as the theme, driving change from within, reinforcing integrity, accountability, and performance, the Court-Martial condemned acts of indiscipline by some officers while vowing to ruthlessly deal with any officer caught in the web.
We must deliberate in taking measures designed to key into the renewed agenda of Mr. President to improve the welfare of Nigeria through safer highways. Our effort must be channeled to drive the needed changes from within our workforce, underscoring the heavy responsibility of the Corps to secure our highways should not be underestimated. The fatalities, injuries shows that there is still room for improvement in our road traffic and safety management.
The Corps equally signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Safety Investigation Bureau for proper crash investigation analysis.
We're here to just make safety recommendations to help the road safety do their job effectively and safeguard Nigerian lives.
The Corps Marshal announced that the FRSC Amendment Bill, which will create a special armed squad for the Corps, has scaled second reading at the National Assembly. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
It's now time to talk sports, and Badi Adeleye is here. Badi, I hope the win by the Super Falcons is first on your list tonight.
We'll get there, do not worry, Neri. All right, let's begin with karate, as the president of the Karate Federation of Nigeria, Silas Agara, has been elected fourth vice president of the African Karate Federation, UFAC, in a big boost to the development of the sport in Nigeria. The election, which took place during the annual general meeting of the Karate Federation on Wednesday evening in Abuja, saw Agara secure 20 votes, surpassing DR Congo's Freddy Kumbo, who received 14 votes. Suleimani Gaye from Senegal was re-elected president, getting 23 votes against Mohamed Mukhtabi from Morocco, who garnered 11 votes. The 2025 African Karate Championship is currently being hosted by Nigeria in Abuja.
This is a victory for Nigeria. This is a victory for the entire karatekas from Nigeria. This is a victory for West Africa, and it's a call to duty to do more for the development.
Moving on, in line with the renewed Hope agenda's focus on empowering the youth through sports, the House of Representatives Committee on Sports is spearheading efforts to revive grassroots sports. As part of this initiative, the committee has distributed sports kits to its members for onward distribution to their constituents. This move aims to encourage participation in sports and rejuvenate decaying sporting facilities across the country, aligning with international standards.
I have put in the budget provision to build a sports academy. The sports academy will have all kinds of games, not just football that we'll be concentrating on.
Resetting means that we have to change our sports from being competition-driven to developmental-driven.
The next thing we are coming up with is this construction of these mini stadiums across the country, which will go through federal constituencies, and that will also go a long way with this kit in promoting this particular sport and grassroots.
Now let's turn our attention to women's football. Fresh from their 2-1 semi-final victory over South Africa's Bayana, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, in a heartwarming display of solidarity and sportsmanship, have paid a visit to injured South African player Gabriela Salgado. The Super Falcons, known for their dominance on the pitch, took a break from their training camp to boost the morale of their injured counterpart, who suffered an injury during Tuesday's game. Led by team captain Rashidat Ajibade, the Super Falcons were seen chatting and laughing with Salgado, who was in high spirits despite her injury. And to basketball now, with 2 days to the official tip-off of the 2025 Women's AfroBasket. The Tigress of Nigeria have arrived in Abidjan, the capital city of Côte d'Ivoire. And just before their departure, the final 12-player roster for the championship was released, with players selected from a formal list of 20 players who were provisionally selected. Led by Rina Wakama, Nigeria will pursue an unprecedented 5th consecutive championship win. Wakama, making her second appearance as head coach, now aims to become the first woman to win 2 AfroBasket titles. Quite interesting. That's a bit on sports tonight. Let's return to Nair.
Well, thanks, Badi, for the update. Of course, we look forward to the finals of WAFCON. Now, the remains of Hadiza Longman have been laid to rest in Gudu Cemetery. All right, before that, President Bola Tinubu extends his condolences to the family, friends, and associates of renowned professor of political science and president of the Institute of Governance and Social Research, Professor Jonah Isawa Eliago, who passed on at the age of 77 on Tuesday, July 22. The president commiserates with the governments and people of Benue and Plateau states on the loss of the distinguished scholar whose contributions to constitutional democracy, political economy, and federalism remain indelible. President Tinubu praised the Almighty God to grant the erudite scholar eternal rest and comfort his family. Now, the remains of Hadiza Longman have been laid to rest in Kudu Cemetery, Abuja, after a funeral prayer at the National Mosque in accordance with Islamic rites, until her demise Tuesday night of 22nd July 2025 at the ripe age of 87. Mama Hadiza was the only surviving child of the Longman family in Sokoto. The remains of the late matriarch were later conveyed to Kudu Cemetery for interment and in fulfillment of the burial rites as sanctioned by the Islamic injunction. The deceased was survived by a child, Fatima Usman, and wife of the former Director General of NTA, Usman Magawata, grandchildren and many great-grandchildren.
A family person, a generous person, and a very good person.
Do you want your school?
That concludes News Extra tonight. Many thanks for staying with us for the full package. Let's do this again next Wednesday. I'm Ian Ray John. Have a good night.